Algebra 1, Lesson 42, Solving Multivariable Equations. Alright, now these problems are really going to test your algebra skills. When they say solve multivariable equations, what they actually mean is rewrite them. For example, we know that we cannot get a numerical value for any equation that has more than one unknown. Here we've got an equation with y, x, and z, and there's no way I can solve this to get a whole number, but I can rewrite it to where it is somewhat solved for one of the variables, meaning that one variable is all by itself. And the one they've singled out is the variable y. So when they say solve for y, what they're actually saying is rewrite the equation to where y is all by itself on one side of the equation with no coefficient and then no other polynomials on the same side. So we'll go ahead and put that into practice right now. We'll do example 42.1. So I'm going to solve for y in 6y minus x plus z equals 4. Now we'll go to our rules of equations, and the first rule we're going to go to is use PEMDAS backwards. So I'm not going to try to move the 6 first because that's a multiplication action. I'll move the addition and subtraction first. So I'll go ahead and subtract z from each side. I'll add x to each side. That's going to cancel. And then all I get left on the left side is 6y, and that's going to equal 4 minus z plus x. Okay, so I'm getting close to isolating y all by itself. The last thing I need to do is make sure that y has no coefficient and that y is positive. So I'll divide by 6. And now on the right side, what I can do here is, instead of trying to divide all of this by 6, I'll just do each individual one. Think of it like distributive property, but with division. So I divide each individual term by 6. What that does is that helps me simplify my answer because I can now reduce this 4 over 6. So on the left side, what I have now is y equals 4 over 6, which will reduce to 2 over 3. So y equals 2/3 minus z over 6 plus x over 6. And that's our final answer. So by putting y all by itself, I don't have an exact numerical value for y, but I have essentially solved for y by telling us what y is equal to. And this is a very valuable skill in algebra because then we can single out specific variables and then use them later for substitution, elimination, solving of linear equations, and all kinds of other stuff that we'll get into this school year. Let's do one more example, just in case you still need to see one or if you're having some trouble with the concept. So 42.4, they tell us to solve for x when given this equation. So the goal is to get all of the x's on one side, get rid of all the coefficients, and then make sure that the x is positive. So let's start by moving some things in the equation. Now I've got 5 terms here. Of these 5 terms, only 2 are x's. So I can save myself some time if I just move the x's instead of trying to move everything else. So I'll do that. So I'll go ahead and I'll subtract x, and then I'll subtract 3x. I'll do that to both sides, minus x minus 3x. Those will cancel. And then over here I have 5y minus 2y. I'm going to combine these like terms as I rewrite here. So 5y minus 2y is actually 3y, and then whole number 4 is just going to be written as negative 4. I then have my equal sign here. 0 minus x is negative x. Negative x minus 3x, those are like terms, they combine, and then we get negative 4x. Okay, so we're getting close here. We've got all the x's onto one side. We've combined some like terms. However, our x still has a coefficient and our x is negative. We need to get rid of the negative, we need to get rid of the coefficient, and we'll go ahead and do that in the same step by dividing by negative 4. And then we'll divide each of these by negative 4 as well. So what we end up getting here is this negative 4 will cancel, and then that will cancel, and this is not 0, this is now a positive 1. All right. So that's positive 1, and then this is just going to be negative 3 over 4y. Okay? That all is going to equal x, and that is our final answer. If you have any questions, let me know on Moodle. Other than that, I'll see you guys in class.